Welcome to the Misadventures with
Kiki
and Cowboy, and we've got a fun show for you today. I was going to try and do a play on words for the type of thing we're talking about, like a duality thing, but no. So Kiki and I had this idea. So we used to, when we were dating, we would ride our bicycles together. We were road bikers. I'd done lots of cycling in my history, and so had Kiki.
Yes.
And so we rode a little bit together.
You as a former Ironman or...
Hey, whoa. Always an Ironman.
Oh, hello. I've just been schooled.
Always an Ironman.
Okay.
I am an Ironman distance triathlete.
As an Ironman.
Even though it was 12 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Some time ago.
I would still refer to myself as a former marathoner versus current. But
yes,
that's fine.
And those are different.
Whatever, they're different.
Because if you're a marathoner, that means you're practicing it. If you're an Ironman, you completed an Ironman.
Got it.
So, yeah.
Okay.
And I'll remind our audience that if you're an Ironman, you've also done a marathon. But it was just like the third and shortest part.
Is the final installment of your torture for the day.
The victory lap was the
victory lap
full
was
marathon.
Full marathon.
Yeah.
Like, he likes to throw that at me.
So yes, we've both done marathons.
As an accomplished Ironman,
actually, I've only done
I was
one
going to say you are much more comfortable on your bike.
Yes.
I, on the other hand, did not learn how to ride a bike until I was about 10.
I only got you by 4 years. I was like 6.
Disaster.
It's okay.
On a bike. So
and road cycling, as we call it, as a cyclist.
Oh, as a cyclist.
As we cyclists call it, you're included in that. It's a little bit of a different animal because it's exercising on the bike using all the road laws. It's not fun per se, as in it's not just something you go out and do. You're training for these distances, and you did the century.
Yeah, well, I didn't
talk about the distances you did.
I didn't quite.
You did
make
a 100K, right?
I did a 100K. I did not make it to 100 miles.
Yeah, you had tire issues as well. Tires.
Yes, the litany
you're a victim of the Presta valves.
Oh my gosh,
which are the smaller valves on the road cycle, as opposed to the bigger.
There's
valves.
a lot of funny stories about me.
So many funny
on a bike.
Tell one.
On a bicycle.
I love the one where you had. And again, if you don't know, you don't know. Because I struggled this when years ago when I got my first road.
I'm going to start from the beginning here.
Inflating
a little
of
bit
the tire. Yes. But we're talking about bicycles apparently in this podcast.
Yes. So when I was about 5-ish time frame.
A long time ago.
A long time ago, when dinosaurs were roaming the earth.
Back in the previous century.
Yes. In the previous century. In the 1900s. Yes. As Nate Bargatze, one of our favorite comedians, likes to say, in the 1900s.
Before the internet.
I wanted to learn how to ride a bike around the same age that you did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started out as one did in that era with training wheels.
God bless them.
And there were other kids in the neighborhood who were more accomplished than I was, and who did not need their training wheels, and they went from training wheels to no training wheels very quickly. So
it took me a while.
It
took me a couple months.
I am not a naturally gifted athlete in any way, shape, or form.
You're very strong.
Other than being strong.
You're very strong.
I'm quite strong, but other than that, I had not discovered that about myself yet. Let's just say that. So my parents put me through a wide variety of sports in order to try and find the thing that would be good for me, and I failed at all of them. Everything.
But we talked about this.
So
you like the sports because of the attire.
Oh, because of the attire, the outfits.
The accessories.
Yes, the accessories. Those to all my
good
jam.
Old lacrosse.
Yes. So
cool socks.
So I convinced my dad. I go to my dad. I am not successfully riding my bike with the training wheels. And I go to my dad because I have FOMO, and I convince him that if he takes the training wheels off, surely
A miracle will happen.
I will be riding my bike miraculously in, like just that second. It's that easy. I've watched everybody else do it. It's that easy.
It's literally like.
And you probably, as a dad, have some conception of how easy, how hard it is to put a set of training wheels on a bike. I don't think it's that hard. I personally
I have
don't
put on
think
3 pairs of training wheels on 3 different bikes.
And I'm saying I don't think it's that hard. Am I right on that?
Same pair of training wheels, and we just migrated them from bike to bike.
But am I right on that?
It's not hard.
It's not hard to install or take them off, right?
Now, currently, there may be some technological advances that happened between when you were 6.
I'll give you that. Okay. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
So I had
they could have been absolute garbage.
I had like a Schwinn or a something at the time, right? So my dad, I think, to impress upon me the fact that I was making a life-altering decision at this moment, says, if I take the training wheels off, I'm not putting them back on. And he made it seem like
That's
it was
a normal
this
dad statement, though.
Very big effort.
We're committing to.
So
yes.
I'm like, yeah.
Oh, no.
Take off the training wheels. So he does. I go out to ride my bike for the first time, and I crash. Big surprise.
Normal, yeah.
And then young Kiki says,
everybody knows where this is going.
I'm not riding my bike anymore. And I said, crying, of course. Yeah. And I said, Dad, would you put my training wheels back on? And he was like, no, I already told you I'm not putting them on. If I took them off, I'm not putting them back on. And that's how it was. We stayed at a stalemate from that time.
You're both so stubborn.
Until I was like 10.
Wow.
Okay.
No bike riding for years.
The only reason, and my mom probably tried to help me, but you know how hard it is to, for anybody. I did not have to do this, so I have only witnessed it. Maybe I did try it once or twice with my own children. Mm-hmm. But if you have to be a parent teaching a kid how to ride a bike, and you have to hold on to the back of the bike and run with them, and then like try to do the really easy like let go as they're riding off
and
without
be ready
accidentally
to
like as they fall over, right? Yeah. So that whole thing, my mom tried a couple of times with me, but was not successful, and it just did not go well. So it stayed as a stalemate for all those years until my younger sister decides that she's going to ride a bike. And she, like all the other kids, went from training wheels to not training wheels very quickly. And I was I personally felt shame that my sister could ride a bike, and I was 10 and I did not know how to ride a bike. So went back and kind of pleaded my case again. My dad was really he was still kind of the like, nope, not doing it.
Both of you are so similar.
Oh, so stubborn.
I can see you both I picture
absolutely.
them 10-year-old Kiki and her dad.
Yes.
Back to back, both facing away from each other, both arms crossed.
Oh, we'd face each other and just glare at each other with like arms crossed. Like my dad and I are very similar, but
may you rest in peace.
Yes, but as that is the fiercest fights I have probably had in my life have always been with my dad. Growing up.
If he's anything like you,
we're very much cut from the same cloth.
Yes, you are. Apple tree.
Whew, yeah, those were not fun. Teenagehood with me and him, like whoa, that was tough.
Glorious.
So mom teaches me to ride a bike at 10. We'll just leave it at that.
Great.
I got good enough that I could ride to school. And I recall an incident when I was, I want to say 4th grade. So maybe I was a little younger than 10 because, no, wait, I'm sorry. Let me go back. Let me think. 4th, 5th grade. So it's somewhere in that time frame, 9, 10.
Yeah.
I was riding my bike to school probably for the very first time. And you know how you're riding and you watch the shadows that the spokes make on the ground when the sun,
I know exactly what
and so I'm watching the cool shadows on the ground and I don't pay attention and I hit a rock and I crashed my bike on the way to school, and I hit my head.
This is before helmets.
You didn't wear helmets back
That's right.
then.
Yeah, we were.
I hit my head.
Tough and stupid in the 80s and 90s, 70s.
And I have a recollection of, I'm going to call it waking up, laying on the ground. I have no idea how much time has passed. It could have been a microscopic second, or I could have been laying there for a few seconds. I have no idea. I want to say that I was unconscious, but I don't know that that's actually accurate. I mean, that's just a kid's recollection. But I shakily pick up my bike, and I'm like, I can't go home and tell my mom that I fell over and hit my head, because now she won't let me ride my bike anymore. And this is the first time I'm getting to ride my bike to school. And so I just, ride off with my poor little wobbly bike.
Was it damaged?
I mean, those bikes were, it's not like I had a fine-tuned machine.
Yes.
So
they were rickety just by design.
But they were also
also built like tanks.
In the sense that
they were actual steel versus tin.
You could kind of turn them over and whatnot.
Yeah,
so that was about the extent of my bicycle riding. I did have a 10-speed at some point. I got brave enough to ride without hands. I don't know how that ever happened, but there was a short period of time, probably in middle school, where I did do a little bit of that. And then after that, really no riding. Yeah. No riding as an adult, no riding as anything. So fast forward to the first day that I get my bike as an adult, I decide that I am going to start trying to do triathlon. So I had been running at that point. I had probably run a marathon or two. I'm not really sure where that came in, but I decided I was going to start trying to do some triathlons. And I go and I buy. So I go from no bike at all.
Yeah.
And that's not true. I actually did have an adult bike for a little bit. I had bought from Walmart.
Yep.
And I did ride it in a short triathlon, one of those sprints, right? And it was hard.
Yeah.
And I did try to keep up with a group of people. So I did ride a little bit
say the bike
with that.
portion is like a 10K.
Yeah.
It's like 6 miles.
Yeah, something like that. But it had the big knobby wheels, and it was a very heavy bike, right? So I go from that, I go
13 miles.
Purchase my very first felt bicycle. Was super excited about it. It was
it's a brand, FELT, not made out of.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, $1,800. It was
it's a good bike. Yeah,
2,000, something like that. But it was. I don't think it was above that price.
Yeah.
It was a carbon fiber frame, and it had the thin, narrow wheels. I was not ready to clip in yet, so I was riding it with just flat pedals, and I rode that for the century kilometer century ride that I did. And you are correct that one of the things that when you go to these performance bicycle shops, I think they're under the assumption that you already know a fair amount about bikes and riding and whatnot. They did not give me the foundational basics.
Yeah, that it's the Presta valves are actually pretty complicated.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's not like the normal car tire valves that you just press in that little thing. Presta valves have a little screw-in lock that has to be pulled up, and it's a certain way because they're real high pressure.
You're thinking about if you're just listening and you're thinking about a bicycle tire, right? And even like Cowboy's saying, a car tire even, when you go to inflate your regular Walmart bicycle tire, you take the little rubber cap off, you put on your tire inflator, and you kind of clamp it shut, and then you just pump away and fill it up. Great. So I get this felt bike. I don't know anything about, the rest of it. And so I'm on a I'm on my first century kilometer ride, and it's very hilly. Scares the heck out of me.
62 miles.
And I am not even exaggerating. The last person to cross the finish line.
Still can't believe you did it.
There is a gentleman who is kind of, what do they call him? Like the course monitors. Like he's not quite a course monitor, but like he was somebody, like there are a couple of accomplished riders who will ride the course to make sure that, everybody crosses the finish line. They haven't left somebody out there when they close the course, if there's something going wrong and whatnot. Well, he accompanies me for 3/4 of this ride, if not the whole thing, because I'm riding along and all these people are super fast. I mean, I started when everybody else started.
Yeah.
And they all passed me very quickly and leave me in the dust. And here I am riding along. And of course, I'm also kind of a weenie, so I'm riding more slowly and cautiously anyway. There's a moment at which he's riding behind me, and man, I am just slogging through probably an uphill. I don't know. And he's like, wow, you look like maybe your tire is flat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I've filled him up. I've done all of the things, right? And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, yeah, but I mean, you can always try, right? So we pull over and he, gets my bike, and I've had it now for several months at this point, right? And I have pumped up my tires before every ride as we go out. And he gets my tires, and I'm like, okay, you're doing whatever. And he takes the cap off, just like I do. And then he does something that I notice is interesting and different. And he reaches down to the exposed valve where you clamp on your tire inflator, and he unscrews the top of it.
Which is it's a pressure cap to kind of keep it from losing
There
any
is
air.
a cap within the cap.
Yep. It's on a little tiny screw.
And so on the stem itself is its own little twisty that you have to untwist and fill. I had not been doing that because I had no idea.
I can't believe your tires and rims kept their integrity.
I have no idea how that's possible, but it is.
And he put air in them.
And so I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
That's how you put air in there.
Yes, although I did not say that to him, because then I felt like a big moron, because I'm like...
What a revelation that must have been.
I have been telling people I've been pumping up my tires all this time. So anyway, I ride that ride.
Did it feel different?
Not as easy as one would want.
Well, you were probably pretty tired.
I was pretty worn out by that point.
I would have expected.
I think I got across the finish line. So I did at least half of that century ride on flat tires. So I was...
That had to be a nightmare.
It was sheer will and determination that got me across. I will say that. And it was a significant amount of time after everybody crossed the finish line that I finished.
We were riding about the same time. I had ridden enough to know that when my tires were even a few pounds light, I could feel the difference.
You could feel the difference.
Between full inflation and just marginally.
Yeah.
When I'm riding, because I'd put in enough miles. I was like, oh, I think my tires are slightly low. I'd get off and they would be like 4 pounds light. Not full,
4 pounds.
Just enough,
Yeah.
Because it was soft.
I, on the other hand, I'm like, no, I've been pumping them up, and I'm like riding on.
You didn't have enough miles then.
Just spongy tires. So anyway, did that ride.
Awesome.
I did do another ride where I tried to hit the century mileage, and we live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it is a ride that takes you. It's actually a 2-day ride.
Was that the Emmett Smith?
Yeah. No. This.
Oh. No.
No.
That was the MS-150.
It was the
MS-150.
MS-150, and you start over here.
Yeah.
And you ride
I think it's 80 the first day, 70 the second day.
Yeah, it's like you ride to your halfway point, and then they kind of bus you home, and then you come back, where they corral all your bikes halfway, and then you finish the ride and you finish over in Fort Worth, and then you can they'll ship all your bikes back to you and everything. And I tried that one, and I joined with a group of people. They all left me in the dust. I ended up riding by myself, and it was a very hot, sunny day. I could not, if you picture it, effectively reach down and drink water while biking and in motion. So I would have to stop my bike in order to drink anything. And because I was completely by myself, I didn't stop and drink hardly at all. That ride, I did manage to lay my bike over a couple of times, or at least once. At the beginning, though, it was the first time I had ever started in a really tight corral of people, and that completely wigged me out, and I almost crashed into people and all over because
it's pretty terrifying.
As soon as, I find that as soon as, it doesn't really matter if I'm on a bike or even just walking. If you tell me, you shrink the amount of space and you just say, you have to stay on this line and you can't deviate, I will immediately lose my balance.
Then
It does not.
Cars
It
in
just
your mind.
all of a sudden I'm just like and I would do it. I would do it even if we were walking, right?
Those huge starts are pretty terrifying.
So that really was hard. And then I make it to the first stop where lunch is. No, actually, I'm sorry. We'd make it to a break point where there was just some snacks and some water and some restrooms and all of that kind of stuff. And as I'm clipped in for this one, actually, this was my first ride being clipped in. I ride up, and I have been practicing because I have laid my bike over multiple times learning how to be clipped in.
Absolutely.
And so I'm riding up, and I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, unclip, put foot down, unclip, put foot down. So I unclip, put foot down, and then fall over the other direction.
I've done that a few times myself. Because you're not ready to do the
right
left
on the gravel,
one.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm trapped under my bike. There's a gentleman, an older man, 60s, I don't know what, standing literally 3 feet from me with a huge megaphone as riders are coming in. He's announcing, pull in, we've got water, we've got this, right? I fall over right in front of him, and he has this big megaphone, and he's just like, well, that's embarrassing, and he just announces to everybody, right, and I'm just and so I get out from under my bike, which nobody, when you're clipped into your bike,
it's
and then you're
to,
trapped under it, and these are very light bikes, but somehow
it's an awkward extension of your body.
Then we get to the lunch stop where you have to pull in, and it's just done at a big high school parking lot, so there's plenty of space, right? So again, have to do the maneuver, unclip, put my feet down. I was okay. I didn't crash my bike. But guess who I run into? The same guy. And he was jovial enough.
The guy that had helped you in the previous race?
Oh, he didn't help me. He just announced that I had fallen over. The announcer guy.
Gotcha.
Same guy. And I'm in line to get food or something, and he comes up to me. He makes a beeline. He finds me, and he goes, where did you park? And I was like, in one of those, whatever parking lot squares. And he's like, okay, good. I just want to make sure you didn't park next to my bike in case you crashed and fell on top of it. And I'm like, that's so rude. Stop it.
That's accurate.
So anyway, after that point, I didn't finish beyond the halfway point, so I never made it.
You still did a bulk of the ride.
I made it 60 something miles, but I never really made it past 100K. So all of that said, yes, I have laid my bike down several times.
You're not alone.
And you and I have ridden in the past, and I do believe there was a couple of instances where we were on a hill, usually an incline, and you were describing to everybody, you're riding where traffic is and where cars are, because you're not riding on the sidewalk.
No,
you're riding
on streets,
on
roads, and streets.
You've got a vehicle, so you're riding on the road. So you have to stop when there is obviously a stop sign or a traffic light. In this particular case that I'm remembering, when you and I are riding, there's a stoplight, and we are at the kind of the top of a incline, and so we're gonna have to get started.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
Upwards, right? Like, I guess this is probably, I've never driven a car that has a clutch.
Yeah.
But I believe that's one of the tricks, right? When you're driving a stick shift car, is that like if you're having to start on an incline,
Yep. You got to
not rolling backwards, right? So that was my fear. And I remember you're riding next to me. I'm there. There's cars. I'm waving the cars through because I think it was just I don't know if it was just a stop sign or a red light. I don't know what, but I'm waving the cars through. And at some point you look at me and you're like, you have to go. We're going.
Yep.
Go now. Just go. And so, and again, wobbly as I get started trying to just move the bike.
Well,
so all of that said, what is your brilliant idea? After we get married, we buy this house, we move in, we decide.
So this was my idea?
Yeah, I think it is your idea.
Okay, so
I'm pretty sure this is your
So where we've been going with all of
brainchild.
this, and the history of cycling comes to this moment.
Yes.
Tandem bike.
Yes, this
So
is your. There's no way that was
we
my
had
brainchild.
enjoyed riding together, and just because we stopped riding, we sold our bikes because we didn't want to. We were moving and all that, and so we're like, okay, we'll sell the bikes. We don't really ride them, and then the bug bit both of us more at the same time. Was like, let's get a tandem bike.
Same. I think I was talked into it when we say the bug hit us at the same time.
I feel like it was 100% your idea. My mind is that it was your idea.
I don't think so.
Sure of it. So we find a good deal on a
used
tandem bike. We go in, we take it in to get some parts replaced and stuff to get it kind of up to date.
We get it, yeah.
Safe for us to ride.
Yes.
We ride it.
We've
ridden it a couple times.
More than a couple.
At least 3.
More than 3.
Maybe 4.
Probably less than
4.
10.
Definitely less than 10. And
I don't know if it's definitely less than 10.
Here's what I discovered.
I think we're approaching.
One, our natural cadences, not our leg. It's not, the leg size doesn't matter so much because you adjust the seat to get. So
you mean the leg height?
Leg height,
yeah.
Leg size, yeah, fine. But measurements and all.
The leg.
So Kiki, so I would be the pilot because I'm the experienced rider. So I'd be up front. Kiki's in the back, and what is that called?
I can't remember now.
They give them names, right? So
the slave.
The slave, yes, the slave, my slave. But so. And what I find is our cadence.
The workhorse would be me,
pretty much. So but the thing is, the chain to both pedal sets
is the same,
linked.
It's a linked.
So it's not like you can go your own.
It's not the same chain, but it is linked.
But they are linked.
They're synced.
They're synced, but they're connected in such a way that you have to do the same cadence.
You have to pedal at the same rate and turn over your legs at the same pace.
When you come to a stop. There's a trick about those hills that Kiki was talking about. You come to a stop and you make sure that one pedal is up and it's a little bit to the front. So when you're ready to go again, you have that high leverage to push forward to get the bike going again. So you have to learn to stop like that.
Yes.
Or you have to kick it around.
Yes.
But since we're both clipped
and you have to sync.
You have to sync.
So that you both are unclipping at the same time.
Yeah, so you stop pedaling at the same time.
You're putting your feet down at the same time.
You start pedaling and stop pedaling at the same time.
And you also have to...
It takes a ridiculous amount of coordination.
Corner at the same... Like, be comfortable with the angle of the lean.
Yep, all the things.
All the things. So I can guarantee this was not my idea as to this would be brilliant.
I got to own this. So that's where it started. Where it's ended is where
where's it ended?
We have a tandem bike for sale.
We have a fantastic tandem bike.
It's in
if
great
there's
shape.
Anybody wants
new
to know.
tires, new wiring, new brakes.
We've put a lot of effort into this.
It's a beautiful bike.
It is.
It needs a new home.
It has not been laid down.
No.
By us, at least.
No.
And actually, I don't think the person.
Not since it's had all its.
that has owned it.
It's had a lot of work done on it.
It's actually in a nice
condition. It's in great
condition.
shape. It just needs a new home.
It is. Yes.
It takes up a terrific amount of.
And why is that, dear? Why does it need a new home?
Because Cowboy does not feel safe piloting this. It is difficult. It has a huge turn radius. So you definitely have to be in the streets. You definitely can't be on even a wide sidewalk.
Cannot be on a sidewalk.
Whereas when you have 2 smaller bikes, you can be on a sidewalk. You can do
I would not trust me on a sidewalk ever.
No. But,
if anybody's listened to the first podcast we ever did about being in Tulum on those bikes.
Yeah, go back and look at it. That's a fun recollection. So, but that's where we are is the adventure was, misadventure, was let's get a tandem bike. It'll be fun, they said. Let's put some money into it. Let's park it in our garage for a year.
And I think the expectation, if I might,
was that we'd enjoy each other's company.
I think my husband's thought was, when you're riding 2 bikes side by side, you can have a conversation.
Yep.
And
occasionally Kiki will ride in front and I get to look at her butt.
And that's not a benefit to anybody.
That is
but
a motivation for Cowboy.
Okay, well, I'm thankful.
And
for
obviously,
that.
that's not even possible on a tandem bike.
No,
ever,
never, because
and
he'll
we can't
never
have a
let me be in the
conversation
front
because I'm talking forward.
Well, I think that's what you discovered.
I discovered that I'm doing all types of cadence calls.
Yes,
and not able to actually relax
because
and talk.
As the pilot,
and I couldn't hear her
you
because
have
she's behind
to make
me.
Sure that we are in sync.
Yes.
And so calling them out and having, if you think about like the Olympics, the synchronized divers, right, who are side by side, they both have to jump at the same time, they both have to flip at the same time, except that on a tandem bike, you're the responsible one for saying, we're going to do this part now, and then we both have to kind of count at the same time. And yes, that was also an unexpected piece, was that because I got to see you sitting in front of me all the time, it was a little odd. And I had to be careful, one, that I wasn't trying to look around you, because if I could see what was coming up, even though my handlebars were more decoration than anything, like they were there for me to hold on, but I couldn't steer, right?
No
like
brakes,
I can't do anything.
Yeah.
But I would throw you off because
lean.
I would inadvertently kind of twitch or maneuver in a way that I was like making an adjustment as if I were steering.
Yep.
And then it would throw you off of being able to steer.
Yep.
For one. But I think you had in your mind this picture of like, we were going to be able to
spend time together,
chat and spend time together, and it would be really fun. And instead what it was is like, it was super stressful, because you being an accomplished rider, you pedal at a much faster rate than I do. I'm kind of like the low and slow grinder. So like I pedal much more slowly, but I have a lot more power in each stroke, right, whereas you like to go a little faster. I find that exhausting. Anyway, tandem bikes for sale. Anybody interested? It'll be up on eBay.
We hear it's a lot of fun
Facebook
for the right
Marketplace.
people. Yes, so look on Facebook Marketplace for a tandem bike. There are hundreds of them. There are some of them.
Yes.
And
so now the question is what's next?
We're
rollerblading?
No,
definitely
we're gonna focus
not.
more on riding
skateboarding.
a motorcycle.
No.
We're gonna ride the motorcycle to and from the gym.
Oh, is that what it's gonna be?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna be doing a lot more. Just if we want to sit beside each other and ride bicycles, it's gonna be on the bike at the gym.
It'll be on the Peloton.
We'll go to a spin class. Yeah, exactly. We'll do
spin class,
or we'll get a second Peloton.
I'm yes.
Can you imagine sitting side by
we
side
should
on
have
two
our
Pelotons?
two Pelotons like face each other.
Yeah, that would make no sense.
Exactly.
Because there's a big screen in front of you.
No, exactly. So you can't see each other anyway.
Yeah, I'd say we put them side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the way to do it.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
Well, that because you can do
have our own spin class in our house.
Yes, why not?
Because we have so much
We've already got
room.
one. What we do is we put the tandem bike up for sale and say willing to trade for Peloton.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll consider that.
We'll see about that.
So.
Yep.
Anybody who's listening, you have a Peloton you're trying to get rid of.
And
maybe
looks
like we're in the market.
Yeah, if you want a tandem bike at the same time, perfect. So leave your information.
We highly recommend the tandem bike,
They're
guys.
wonderful for the right people.
They are.
Yes, they're wonderful for the right people. We are not the right people for a tandem bike. We learned that. And And I have come to accept that, Kiki.
Have you?
I have.
Have you come
I've
to
come
terms
full
with
circle
that?
on a tandem bike.
Yeah.
Yeah, full circle. Well, this has been another wonderful and meandering, wandering adventure, or misadventure with
Kiki.
and Cowboy. Thanks for joining us today. Buy our bicycle.
Please.
Ka-chow!